Happy to be here, talking today about how to make plant process more sustainability with plant IT. So when we're talking about energy, it's nowadays a huge topic. Thinking about 10 years ago, for me personally, energy is a huge topic, but it was not the importance what we have today. So at my speech, I would like to highlight the points, how you introduce an energy management system, what kind of advantages it is. In regards of the current situation, and we see the energy crisis is all over, it's not only about the situation in regards of our environment, but as you can see here at the graphs on the right side, of course, we all know that the development of the population in the world is increasing quite fast. And more people means more energy consumption, and therefore it's a higher need of this energy. And on the other side, we know there's a global warming discussion. We see the impact already here at our world, and especially from Schneider Electric, it's one of our very important points to say, okay, here we need to do more, here we need to help our customers, help the industry, and of course help the planet. Another chart I would like to see here is when you see the prices of the energy nowadays. Everyone feels it in her pocket. He feels it about how the prices are increasing. It's not only about 2 or 3%, sometimes it's over 100%. And therefore, it's a very urgent need, especially for the industry, which has a huge demand of energy, to have a look about, okay, how we can decrease the energy. And for sure, as we know, that only 1/3 of the energy which is produced is consumed about the end customer. We need to have a closer look why we waste so much energy, what is the point about it, and how we can avoid it, making the processes and the industry itself more energy efficient. That's another chart here in regards of the prices. So it's not only about the gas, it's not only about the fossil energies, it's also about the wood chips, as you can see. So it has every impact. So to move from one energy source to another one, it's not only solving the problem. Even then, you need to adjust the energy consumption, and you have a closer look. But how you can do it? So the first point, and that sounds, maybe it sounds a little bit silly, but that's the very important point to see. First, we need to collect the energy data. So that's a very important point. Collecting means on a clever way, on a smart way. Of course, there are tools that are available, but of course you can't build in every part, in every single situation, and the plant needs an energy consumption meter, for example. So you need to do it in a smart way. And here are plenty of innovations are already available. Start from the beginning, from the energy supplier, and then split about the different ways where the energy, like a route, is going to your plant. And therefore, you need to separate the second plants, and you need to have a look about what are the most important ones, or at least what to think about the most important ones. And the next step is, as we all know, for example, in drives, you get an energy consumption. In some kind of units, you get an energy consumption. So collect all the data, doing basic mathematics, and you get a basic overview. And then you can drill in step by step, even more in the details, to see, okay, what is my main producers, when are the main producers is consuming this kind of energy, and it gives you a clear picture about that. The next step is about monitoring and visualize the data. Again, it's a basic exercise what you need to do, but especially we had the experience from our customers. If you visualize the energy consumptions, if you visualize it to the operator, if you visualize it to the plant maintenance guys, it helps really a lot. So to make it just for the people to say, okay, at the moment we have a high demand of energy, maybe there's no need to introduce the next, say, for example, CRP started, so maybe we wait a little bit to shift it later on. So monitoring is another very important topic. And from the forecast point of view, so from the demand situation, you're doing a contract with your energy supplier, you have the limiteds, and it's a very important goal. You not come over these limiteds, because otherwise you pay over the whole year these new limits, and it's really a topic. So a very important point is, and it comes with a visualization, to say, okay, we need to adjust the energy consumption. We need to have an average energy consumption, starting with a visualization, as I mentioned, and then step by step we can see, okay, how we can do an average energy consumption and not have these high peaks, which leads to a very cost-effective energy. And again, only by showing it to the employees, only by showing it, it could be also have an impact nowadays. But what's more, when we see here at the use case what we have from a brewery, we have the example of a cooling system. We need about the processes itself. Sometimes we have processes in the plant, they use a lot of energy, but that's not mandatory that they are consuming the energy all the time. Especially in the cooling part, as we are talking here in breweries, as you can see, we have the huge tanks, the huge vessel which are getting cooled. But when you cut off the cooling of these kind of vessels, it doesn't mean that the beer is spoiled in minutes. So it takes a while till the temperature rises in the tanks. And this kind of buffer, what you can use, helps you to do the energy consumption more on an average way. So that's some of the sources where you can shut down, and it doesn't have an impact of the end product. It doesn't have an impact of the production. So it means you have a kind of buffer in the system itself. And when we are talking about energy, it's not only about electrical energy, it's also the prime energies, but it's also gas, it's oil, of course, the water, but it's also about the electricity, the compressed air. And again, visualization can make the difference about the visualized air. We have many use cases where we find out only by monitoring, okay, why is a compressor starting on the weekend when there's no production? Maybe there's a leakage, yeah? And with that kind of information, we can drill down and we can see, okay, how we can avoid it. And therefore, our end customer saves a lot of money because they don't need to run the compressors over the weekend when there's no production, and make it easier to find this energy consumption. So when we have a look about this example of the brewery cooling system, as you can see, you have always these high peaks, and the high peaks coming from special processes which the plants are running. The high peaks, when we see the production sites, of course, most of them are running 7 days, 24 hours a week, but sometimes they have a starting point, so they're starting Sunday early in the afternoon, they're starting to run up the machines, and we made huge experience to, what I say, de-timeline the starting of these machines, de-starting the CRP of the plants, which means we stretch the energy consumption and we don't have these high peaks, which is very valuable. On the other side, with the monitoring of the system, you can see, okay, when you have the bricks, sometimes you have a high decrease and you can drill down and can see, okay, where it's coming from, these kind of peaks. And then you can have an analyzer, so it's already a guidance for you how you can reduce your energy, and you can look about what are the processes which leads to it, and maybe they are failures or maybe they are issues, or you need to talk with your operational staff. Especially these peak load analyzers and the forecast what we are doing helps the end customer. So here in that kind of situation, we're doing a precast. We have a look about in the future to say, okay, what could be the energy consumption in the future? And therefore you have the possibility, as I mentioned before, for the cooling tanks, and they have in these breweries, they have a numerous of them. You can shut down step by step one of these. Of course, you can parameterize it, so just stop down the cooling for 30 minutes, for example, and then going to the next tank, going to the next tank. And sometimes these really small actions, which doesn't need a huge infrastructure, which doesn't need a huge engineering to gain this situation, helps the end customer to avoid these peaks, and the peaks are really the pain points at the end customer side. Here we can have a look at the details. It's like usual, we count the energy consumptions in 15 minutes peaks, and When the system recognizes, okay, there's a trend, there's upgoing, so you can prioritize the units which you can shut down. It's not only about the cooling. So here, for example, it was also the climate control. It could be the lighting. It could be the heating for some cases. And that helps, of course, a lot to not overtake the limit. And here, in that case, at the brewery, what we have here, they have the possibility to reduce these high-level peaks to 20% and make it more average. And yeah, that helps, of course, a lot. So again, we are not controlling a lot, yeah, here at that stage. It's just a visualization in the beginning, which means it's an easy implementation. It's a very good starting point, a very early return of invest, what we can achieve here. And with some basic steps, and then use the starting point, and you can drill down, you can do the next steps, plan the next steps. And together with our customers, mostly we develop a roadmap. And with this kind of roadmap, we can define certain kind of targets, certain kind of goals, where we doing analysis about the energy consumption. As you can see here, and it depends, of course, of the processes what is behind. So we have periodic increases in the consumption. Here in that case, in a brewery, it's 6 hours. It's about a brew, what it takes for a brew. And a brew is, again, it's a very heat-intensive process. So you need to bring a lot of heat in the vessels. And when you know, okay, you have these kind of patterns already inside, you can plan, for example, your CIP or your other energy consumptions exactly in the losses, so you don't have the high peaks which cost you a lot of money. That was a very short overview about our solution. We have here at the booth numerous examples where you can have the microgrid solution. We can go over there to the software solution, what we have. And of course, if you have any kind of question, please let me know and we can discuss it here on the panel or maybe on the booth itself. See you.